In a world where dreams meet reality, there exists a place where your business can flourish. That place is Shopify. Imagine having the power to craft your online store with tools that make it as easy as a gentle breeze. Whether you're an artisan of handmade wonders, a creator of digital treasures, or a curator of the latest trends, Shopify stands by your side. With its customizable templates, seamless integrations, and support that's always there, your dream store is just a heartbeat away. Join millions of visionaries around the globe and let Shopify guide you on your journey. Visit roguemedianetwork.com/Shopify. That's roguemedianetwork.com/SHOPIFY. And embark on your free trial. Shopify, where your commerce dreams come to life.
Most bankers aren't ready to help you until after their third cup of coffee. But with Central National Bank's after-hours service, you don't have to wait for the bank lobby to open to get help. You can contact us from 6 to 8:30 in the morning or from 5 to 10 in the evening, and we'll connect you to a real, live, local person who can answer questions and fix problems 7 days a week. Bank different. Bank Central. Central National Bank. Member FDIC.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast. This is Central Texas Life with Ann Harder.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Central Texas Life, and I am so happy to welcome an author to the studio today, Travis Canady. It's good to meet you.
It's good to be here.
First of all, great to have you here. You have written a book called Augustine, Echoes of Freedom.
Yes, ma'am.
This is your first book?
So it is, but it's not. So Echoes of Freedom is like part 1 and 2 put together.
Okay.
So originally I just had regular Augustine, which was just part 1. But I decided, okay, you know what? Let's take a little dust off of it, make it a little bit more new, and add part 2 to it and re-release it. So.
Okay, so
Yes,
this is the whole story.
Yes,
the whole
ma'am,
story.
the whole story.
It's a compelling story.
Oh, okay, thank you.
About a girl of mixed heritage.
Yes.
She was born to a slave. This was a pre-Civil War.
Yes.
When it's set.
Jim Crow era.
Jim Crow era, named Esther, and Seth Parrish, who was the overseer of the plantation that, and the heir to that estate.
Yes.
Kind of hard.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Yeah.
Hard stuff.
Right. Yes.
At the beginning to kind of set up the
and
path of the
that's
book.
how I really wanted it. You know, whenever I started writing it, it's kind of like a movie. You don't want to sit and watch it and just kind of just wait on something to happen.
You got right into it.
Right to it, and
You
then
did.
okay, let me finish reading this.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
so.
and you set it up, and so she was the product of a.
Yes.
It was an illicit relationship,
Yes.
as you could imagine, and of course the protagonist, Seth Parrish. I mean, bad guy.
Yeah,
Bad
bad.
guy.
Yes.
You know, but he kind of has an
Redemption
evolution.
story.
It's
Yes.
a redemption story. So, what kind of motivated you to first of all tell this story? How did you come up with it?
There's so much stuff, right? So my daughter, my oldest daughter, actually, she was around 2 years old at the time, and we was watching some movie kind of about the Jim Crow era stuff.
Yeah.
And while I was watching it, I was like, you know what? I wonder how it was for a biracial girl at that time. You know, because you have
And there were a lot.
Yes.
You know, this was not uncommon. Think
Right.
Thomas Jefferson. I mean,
Right, yeah.
this
Right.
right.
And you had that fine line of, you know, well, I can pass if I go this direction, but if I stay this direction, it's going to be harder for me.
Yeah. Even
So,
Showboat.
which way?
That was
Right,
a
yeah.
theme in the musical Showboat.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, that in mind, it was like, man, this could actually be like a real story that I can create and maybe shed some light on that, because a lot of people kind of don't really want to talk about that, you know.
Right.
But maybe I could, you know, add my little spin to it and see what I can come up with. And that's when, you know, me being a songwriter first, my mind and my imagination just went wild, and out came the words. I had to write them out, and poof, it was there.
So how long a process? You say you kind of the book sort of evolved.
Right,
In a way
it evolved in a way, but writing the first actual book took 2 months.
That's remarkable.
Right, it didn't take long at all.
Really?
All right. I mean, I had to chip at it every day,
Sure.
but it was done in like.
Well,
2
I mean, you've got kids, and,
Right.
It's
Right. Life gets
finding
hard.
the
Right.
time to do
Right,
that kind of
right.
discipline. I mean, it's
Right.
got to be a discipline.
Yes, it does, and that's pretty much with everything. You don't really want to get up in the morning. You don't really want to have to get in the car to drive where you got to, but if you don't do it, who is?
Yeah.
And especially if it's something that you want to get done or get out, you have to.
So, you're also a singer, songwriter,
Yes, ma'am.
entertainer,
Yes, ma'am.
actor.
Yes.
Now, tell me a little bit. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Right.
Now, you live in Fairfield.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You native of that area? Or?
Yes, ma'am. So, pretty much born and raised there. For a time, I stayed in Austin for a few years, but Fairfield will always be home, Freestone County. you know, that one traffic light with a couple of gas stations.
There's a lot to be said. I've never lived in a really small town. I mean,
Right.
Waco's people would think is a
Right.
small town in a
Right.
way.
Oh.
But it's changed a lot
Oh, yeah.
over the years.
Right.
But I mean, it's got more than one traffic light.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
a couple.
and then I get the impression too in small towns, everybody knows your business.
They do. They do. Even if you don't say it, they know 5 minutes later. I'm telling you, they do. But in small towns,
it's good too.
Yeah, it's good. It's a great way. It's a great place to raise your kids. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It's so much going on in the world right now that as far back in the woods as I can stay, if I can keep them safe, that's what I want to do.
Yeah. I get that. I understand that.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you're kind of a creative. So
Right. Yes, ma'am.
I mean,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
have a bent toward that. Did
Right.
you always kind of know that's the type of?
So, kind of in a way, I was raised in church. My mom, rest her soul, but she was a Sunday school teacher, and she was a head choir director at the time. I didn't really want to sing back then. Of course, I wanted to be one of the cool kids and just stay in the back, but of course, I couldn't do that. My mom directed,
No.
so. But that's kind of how that started, and of course, being in church singing, you're in front of a lot of people all the time.
Right.
So it kind of was like second nature for me to sing in front of people. And of course, school comes around. That's kind of when it got into the musical type, acting type stuff, like one act play and things like that, which I never got a part. I always was the alternate every time. I'm like, I'm giving my best. Like, why are you not picking me? But, a couple of years after that, after I had actually graduated high school, I don't know if you heard of the Marlin, Texas, the Palace Theater in Marlin.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So they actually had auditions a few years back. And I was like, you know what? I kind of gave up acting for a while after getting let down so much. But I was like, you know what? Maybe I could give it another shot and let's see what happens. So I went there, and we had a cold read. You sit down, you read whatever lines they want you to read.
Right.
And I read them. And I'm like, you know what? I gave whatever I could, but let's see what happens. Maybe if it doesn't, then I'm good. If it does, okay. So Robert Brown, which is the director of all of that there, he gave me a call 2 weeks after that and was like, hey, you got a part, but we want to give you the lead. Would you be interested in that? And I'm like, wait, the lead? What?
Yeah.
And
All
he's like,
right.
yeah, it's got about a few thousand lines in it. I'm like,
Oh.
I don't know. So really at the time, I was like, I just want to start. I didn't want to just go right out blazing.
You never know.
Right. So I did. I took the leap off of it, and, I had faith in it. And, of course, it was a challenge.
Sure, it's hard.
But ultimately, I did great. I
Good
did
for
not
you.
mess up the times that I was there. I was where I needed to be, and
So
it worked
there's
out.
nothing like live theater
Right. Yes.
because anything can happen.
Right.
And it
Anything
will.
can happen. And matter of fact, at one show, I sprained my ankle going backstage.
Oh no.
And you don't see me, but I'm kind of limping as
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
doing my block. But we did it in a way to where nobody even knew it was.
Yeah,
nothing
well, and
happened.
that's a professional.
Right. Yeah.
That's a pro when nobody out there in the audience
Right.
actually knows there's something going
Right.
on.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, but and then there was another time when I think one of the mics went out on somebody.
Oh.
So like we had to figure out a way to get them heard because on stage you can't really hear that much if you don't have a mic on.
Sure.
You kind of got to yell,
Right.
but we figured that out. We kind of had to yell a little bit so people can hear it. And they was kind of laughing about
Yeah.
it, so it wasn't part of the show, but we made it a part of the show. And they
Well,
loved
yeah,
it.
you learn to project.
Right. Right.
talking to that person on the last row.
Right, exactly. Yeah, can you hear me? Right. But yeah, stage acting, and then I kind of evolved into, actual acting as far as on screen and on film.
So what kind of things have you done?
I started out with horror. Then I kind of evolved with that, and then thriller, and then love stories. So kind of a little bit of everything, and of course drama. And with those, I did them pretty much not myself. I had a little help with like crew and lighting and stuff like that. But as far as the writing process goes and stuff, I actually done that. So I was pretty proud about that too.
I guess.
But it's a lot different than being on stage, of course, because you can take takes and I don't really like that. Let's run it back again.
Yeah. Yeah, and and in movie making, all that kind of thing, you do things over and over and over for this camera, and then that camera, and then over your shoulder, that camera. I don't think most people realize just how laborious it is.
It's very repetitive.
And monotonous, I guess, in a way, because of the repeated times you have to shoot things.
And that's a lot of times too, like as far as like trying to memorize your lines and stuff on film, you can. That's great. But there's a lot of times that you don't really have to. You can kind of ad-lib because you're doing the same scene over and over and over again.
You might come up with something better than what they wrote.
And you do it a lot of times because it's all about the creative process of it, you know. Yeah. So, I mean, I love that. I love theater too, but I got a heart for film acting too.
Yeah. Well, hopes then for Augustine maybe becoming a film? Or
I've actually had a few companies send out about that
some interest in it?
And I'm like,
awesome.
Well, you know what? Maybe, but I'm not signing my rights to it because you're not going to change what I put in there. Because a lot of them want to do that.
Well, no, that's true. They like the story idea, and then they take it and
they make what they want out of it.
So as a believer, as someone who is true to your faith, that was kind of a key thing.
Yes, ma'am. That was the whole goal. I wanted to be Christian based. Not only because that's how I was raised, but that's just the message that I want to get out. And changing that will kind of deviate it and not make it as meaningful to me. Because that's my baby.
Well, right, and I've never written anything like this that you do feel a real ownership of it, and and a closeness to it. Any other things in the offing? I mean, you have other stories in you that you're thinking.
So if you read the whole book, which I know you have, at the end of this Easter egg, it's actually two chapters to the next book that's coming up. And I don't want to get too much into it because I don't want to spoil it. But it is a prologue of Augustine. So, most definitely something is in the works. Hopefully, I'm hoping to have that out at the end of next year. Yeah. Hopefully, but there's so many things that's going on right now. Matter of fact, I got to go to Arkansas for a show next month. Then after that, another show in Kansas promoting the book too. So right now, it's like the promo book tour, and it ain't gonna stop till the holidays. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, that's great.
Yes, ma'am.
Keep that up. That's an awesome.
Yes, ma'am. I'm very blessed for everything that's coming from that. That's how I know it's from God.
Oh, yeah. Well, tell me a little bit more about your family. You mentioned a child.
Yes. So, raised in church. My mom, she was very active in church. My dad also very active in church. He was a superintendent of the Sunday school. He's actually a preacher, too, minister. Been ministering. He's in the prison ministry. He's been doing that for about, I think, 8 years now. So I was the bad preacher's kid, unfortunately.
Well, why is that?
I think it's because if you're forced to do something, you really don't want to do it.
That rebellion.
So, you're forced to be good, so I really didn't want to do it, But I got in trouble, but I never got in trouble. So I was too scared. Bad. Right.
Yeah. You knew there was, another shoe to drop.
Yeah, right. And that's, I wish a lot of children these days would kind of have that fear of that.
Yeah, no, I know.
A lot of them now, they don't care.
Well, there is no consequence for their behavior. No, it's like they never really learned.
No, just
that respect for their elders.
Right.
I mean, I think a lot of the media and the shows and the stuff that they ingest, the kid is all-knowing, and the adults are just stupid doofuses, rather than how life should be.
Right, yeah, and that's why everything is getting so out of hand. We got to keep a rein on that, and a lot of us, they're just not. You know, and sometimes, yeah, they could be hard to handle at times. I was hard to handle. I don't know if you was hard to handle when you was growing up. But, I mean, that's just part of growing up. That's just part of seeing what there is out there and testing the waters. But you kind of got to stop the water from seeping out a little bit to get a hold on it, you know.
So you have children?
Yes.
A child?
Yes, I have two.
You have
actually.
two? Okay,
yes.
okay.
So my older daughter, Chloe, she's 10. My younger daughter, Bethlyn, is 2. Yes. Yes.
Nothing like a toddler in the
so
house.
it's like one is done out there. She kind of doing her
I was
thing
going
a
to say,
little bit.
10-year-old. Yeah, I've got 3 granddaughters.
Right.
2 of them are 8, and then one's 11. So you know that's such a whole different world than when they were teeny tiny.
Yes.
And just exhausting.
Right, it is. Yeah, especially because she's potty training right now. The youngest is.
Oh, good.
And she's really doing pretty good, actually. She'll tell you like, "Hey, I'm finna do this."
Well, you know, and of course, I didn't really have to go through that with granddaughters. I had 3 sons.
Oh, okay.
And that's a
Great.
whole different, So
Well, I heard
now
boys are easy though.
I had 3 sons, and
Right.
now I have 3 granddaughters. And so, as I like to say, payback is sweet.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But yeah, boys are totally different.
Yeah. And I hear that all the time. You know, boys are so much easier to raise and to
would
do
agree.
things. And I'm like, I
would
wasn't
agree.
that easy. But
No,
whatever.
well, you know, but no, I had 3 really, really good boys, and they're fine men now.
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's just great. It's life goes by fast, though, doesn't it?
It does. You blink, and you know. And I hate to say that, but they're probably gonna be on stage, and I'm gonna be crying watching them graduating, and I'm like,
Oh,
no.
I know. But yeah, walking down the aisle. I mean, all those kind of things do happen.
And like I'm not ready for that. I just keep it in the back of my mind. Maybe time will slow down a little bit, but you blink and you're 50. And
Well,
you blink and you're 70, right?
I know. Tell me, you're
I had her
preaching
10
the
years
choir
ago.
now.
I don't have her no more. So
I took care of that problem.
right.
Oh, what advice do you have for any other like first time authors
Right.
who are planning to do something like this?
So
what have you learned through
I
this
learned:
process?
do not procrastinate.
Ah,
Don't do that because that will halt you. You will not get anything done. You will not write anything.
you won't finish it.
Because really, before I had a story about that, that was years ago, I had plenty of other stories in my brain, but it was just, should I write this? I don't really know if people will like it. I don't know if it's going to do good. I don't know. All of them questions get inside your head, and you're going to have that. But you got to be able to, it could be great. It could be bad, but you know what? I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing this for anybody
Right.
else.
I think that's probably the key, that you have to have that passion
Exactly.
to get that story out there.
Right. Yeah, and if you don't, and that's another thing too. A lot of people, they write different books or music or acting. They're not doing it for the right reasons. They're doing it, I want to be rich and famous one day, or I want, this, and I want the big house, mansion, and cars. I want people to know who I am. That's great. But if that's the only reason why you're doing it for, then you might need to try a different profession because once you get to a certain point, you're going to be miserable because you're not
empty.
in love with it.
Yeah.
And that's what if you see a lot of these stars and celebrities, they go through that at a certain point,
Oh, that's right.
They're not passionate about it. Or they were in the beginning, but somewhere along the line that changed, but.
Okay, so don't procrastinate. you
Right.
say. What, anything else? Any other?
Don't procrastinate and always keep your imagination open. Don't put a cap on your imagination.
Yeah.
No matter what anybody says. Some people are like, well, you're crazy for thinking that. Well, you know what? Maybe I might be, but I'm not going to put a cap on it because that will stop your whole creation process if you do that, So,
Well, I mean, it's a wonderful story, Augustine. Echoes of Freedom.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm thinking, Angel Studios and some they're Christian filmmaking that are really coming on strong.
That would be awesome. That would be great.
Really coming on strong because they're producing content that people actually want to go see and telling stories that need to be told.
Yes.
It just seems like Hollywood, they're bemoaning the fact that the big Memorial Day opening, all the big films. I mean, nobody wanted to go. They're just losing money.
They really
And
are.
it's because there's nothing innovative or new coming out of it.
There's not really anything that will, and I that's why I really don't go to the movies anymore because it's just like, really, this is what I paid to see. Like, there's nothing that's like, I want to feel something. I want to be inspired by something. I want to leave the theater and be like, man, I really need to rethink about my life now because that's what. But we're not getting enough of that,
right?
Because they want to please so many other worldly things in the world, you know. And you see how it's doing. It's not doing as great.
Yeah.
Or they're rehashing old stories or old movies that we've
just
seen way
redoing.
back
That's
when.
all. It seemed like that's all they know how to do.
Yeah.
So what would you say actually motivated you to tell this particular story?
Because it's one of those stories that I know a lot of stories like that similar probably has happened before, but everybody's just kind of, we don't want to talk about that. And I'm kind of the person that's like, you know, with things that you don't want to talk about, we're going to talk about it.
Right.
Whether you want to hear it or not, because it needs to be
Right.
told. And it's just one of those stories that just needed to be told.
And from your perspective, obviously, and the perspective of this young girl, you know, of course, modern times,
Right.
they might have, he would have forced her to, in fact, he did, and tried to
He did. Try to eliminate her.
cause her to have a spontaneous abortion. But, you know, so often it's like you just get rid of the problem. And that was not, that wasn't the case because she's God's child, you know.
Right, exactly. And whatever God has his hands on, you can't touch it. And if you do try to touch it, it's not going to go far.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Job. He had everything going, tossed at him, but he still came out great and better than before because God had his hands on him.
Right, yeah, I absolutely. Just had a lesson on that this last week at church. Well, I like to end these visits with a little questionnaire. It's similar to the one the late, great James Lipton would use on Inside the Actor Studio.
Okay, all right,
so I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite word, Travis?
Ooh.
Your favorite word.
Danger.
Really?
Yeah, even
I've never
though it's
heard that
not
before.
Nice to have danger.
That's cool.
I'm a risk taker, so I like stuff
Okay.
that. Yeah.
I can see why you were a little bit of a problem for your parents.
Yeah, oh, no.
No fear.
Right.
Okay, well, so what is your least favorite word?
No.
Yeah, I have heard that a
We
bunch.
hate the word no, right?
Yeah, nobody wants to be rejected or
No.
here. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
I guess light. Anything with light that draws inspiration from that. I like something that's uplifting. That automatically just have my attention right off the bat.
Oh, good. That's good. Well, conversely, what turns you off creatively, emotionally, or spiritually?
Let's see. I guess a lot of noise and distraction.
Yeah.
Like anything that's just not what I'm feeling at the moment, or just something spontaneous that would happen.
Yeah. Oh, what sound do you love the most as a singer? And
I actually like birds chirping.
but really,
Yes.
yeah, bird song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I like going outside any morning and just sit and just listen and just, you know.
I know, and identify.
Right?
Oh, that's a Carolina Wren.
Right?
Well, then, what sound do you hate?
I hate diesel sounds, even though I'm from the country, right? As soon as I'm like, nope, I do not like the sound of diesel. I do not.
Really?
Yes. I'm not really a country boy. I was born in the country, but I'm not really country.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, what other profession would you like to have tried? You know, maybe when you're little, I want to be a fireman or something. But
Funny story, right? So we was in third grade, and they told us, what do you want to be when you grow up? Write it down, and we're going to have it, on open house.
Cool.
Which I don't know how I did this, but I said I want to be a preacher and drive a beer truck.
And drive what?
A beer truck.
A beer-
Budweiser, And I'm like, looking at that now, I'm like, what was I thinking?
Bringing
But
joy
this-
to the
yeah.
Christians and to the ones.
Yeah, right. People pleasing for real, but yeah.
That's hilarious. Oh, and I'm sure that really blessed your parents.
Oh yeah, it did. And they told that. My dad tells the story to this day. Like, yeah, he was gonna be a preacher and drive a beer truck.
drive a beer
but
truck.
look at him now,
Okay.
Right.
So what profession do you know you do not want? I'll just pass on that. Thanks.
Anything that has to do with politics. I don't want to be a politician.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
would not.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that.
Right.
I hear that.
I mean, there was that. I probably could if I really wanted to.
Well, yeah.
But no, because you have knives coming at you and behind you, and whatever decision you make is always going to be wrong.
Somebody's going to be mad at you.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I don't like being in positions like that. So I would not be a politician.
Right.
Nope, not running
Yeah,
for mayor.
it's there are people that do it and are very gifted at it, but
Right. Right. Not
no,
me.
what they have to do to reach the
Exactly.
pinnacles, you just have to wonder. Okay, one last question.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you want to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Well done, my faithful servant. Come on through the pearly gates. Let's get this on. That's what I want to hear and say.
That is scriptural.
Right?
Well,
Yes,
Travis,
ma'am.
you are doing all the good from what I can see, especially with your book, Augustine, Echoes of Freedom, and this is available, I know, on Amazon.
Yes, exclusively on Amazon. For
Exclusive on Amazon
Yes.
for right now.
Yes, ma'am.
And who knows, it might become a movie. You never know.
Right? That's what I'm hoping for.
That would be
The
awesome.
law of attraction. Maybe it will.
Well, you are a delight, and I'm so glad to get to meet you and to visit with you. And
yes, you're a legend. So I'm honored to be here.
well,
Okay.
I know I'm honored to have you. I'm just when you say what turns you on, what turns me on
Right.
creatively
Right.
is to have people like you who come on and tell your story of how you got to this point.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
and I just think that is an amazing thing to get to do.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am,
grateful
it
for
is.
that.
Yes, it is.
I'm grateful for that.
I'm grateful to
and
give it to you.
Thank you. Grateful for you and for you for watching
Yes.
Central Texas Life. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Central Texas Life with Ann Harder is part of the Rogue Media family. Be sure to check out our other shows at roguemedianetwork.com. Please rate this show 5 stars on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Join us again soon for more Central Texas Life with Ann Harder. This has been a Rogue Media Network production. In a world where dreams meet reality, there exists a place where your business can flourish. That place is Shopify. Imagine having the power to craft your online store with tools that make it as easy as a gentle breeze. Whether you're an artisan of handmade wonders, a creator of digital treasures, or a curator of the latest trends, Shopify stands by your side. With its customizable templates, seamless integrations, and support that's always there, your dream store is just a heartbeat away. Join millions of visionaries around the globe and let Shopify guide you on your journey. Visit roguemedianetwork.com/Shopify. That's roguemedianetwork.com/SHOPIFY. And embark on your free trial. Shopify, where your commerce dreams come to life.